Pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiging sa sinakanan, alam ng puso sa likod ko'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa mandudugin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagabang tulong sa sipin at sa langit o babaw, ay hinatang nilakaw sa pagkayang inaahan, ang isang nagawad ko'y ay managiging, ang ituloy na parang kailan ang kanyang magiging, lumabang araw ka, wala at sinta, ay langit sa piling ko. Ang higaya na pagkay malaki, ang pagkay ng alis sa'yo. Simula ko hanggang ngayon, isang naging lalo, magkaisa ang mga mundo, naiingan ay marunong. Ngayon tayo mula sa unang dagat, hiyang sa mga paniniwala ang ihaw para sa kawan. Pagsamoy ang buhay, bumalabang gusto at buhay, kapayapaan, katarungan, ay ating nang walang pipigil sa damdamin, mga pangako'y tutuparin. Habang buhay kami sa'yo'y magpapatay, mananatili sa puso't isipan. Ang lahat ng lupit ay nanabuwis ng buhay, nasa pilingan may kapal. Pagsamoy ng buhay, bumalabang gusto at buhay, kapayapaan, katarungan, ay ating ang nakamtan. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, magpalain mo sa mundo.
Bluetooth connected.
Silipin po ang time check natin sa umagang ito. Okay, 22 minutos. Okay, alas 7 po lang araw ng Lunes, Martes. Hindi ko nakalimutan, no? Araw ng Martes. Okay, 16 ng Enero 2000. Okay, 23. 24 po mga suki. Sorry po, no? Okay, 24. Ulitin ko. Baka mali po ang pandinig ng iba. Araw ng Martes, umaga ng Martes, okay, 16 ng Enero 2024, no? So, kompleto na po ang time check at saka itong kalendaryo natin sa umaga ito, no? Importante kasi correct ang pagbagit natin sa programa, mga suki, no? Okay, buenos días con todos. Okay, con poblanos. Okay, aquí na Nueva, 98 barangay sa Diatun, Aguina, Zamboanga, no? Okay. So, good morning, good morning, good morning. Bati naman tayo. Magandang umaga po, mga kababayan. Okay, international greeting natin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, no? Okay, sandali lang. Okay, dapat i-confirm pa natin ito sa mga international news, mga independent news, kung totoo po itong mga kababayan. Okay, ang dalawang hostages, okay, kasalukuyan po, okay, tinamaan daw ng bombardment, okay, ng Israeli, mga kababayan, no? Israeli forces. So, ito ay takot tayo, baka mga hoax lang ito. Okay, clarify po natin sa mga independent news na sana po mag-release sila, no? Dalawang hostage, ang mga foreigner, ay nadali raw diyan po sa patuloy po ng bombardment, okay, ng IDF po ng Israel, mga suki. I need this confirmation, okay, from the independent news, no? Especially, okay, Al Jazeera, okay, Palestine, mga kababayan, no? Okay, I want to hear from you if it is true that the two hostages had been killed by bombardment from the Israeli defense forces, mga kababayan. Tama ba yung English ko? Tama yun, mga suki, no? Okay. So, yan po sa programa natin is Consolidated News natin. Mag-init naman ito, no? Okay, Consolidated News natin. Okay. Okay, sa programa. Okay. Halo-halo special opinion, balita at iba pa. Kasama po sa Bisyo Publiko, tinig ng mamamayan. And then, sumbungan ng mamamayan, mga suki, mga kababayan, no? Okay, so mag-aantay na tayo ng confirmation. Okay, kung totoo po itong namatay na hostage, no? Ayan. Gusto natin maklaro, no? Ayan. Okay, ano yun? Okay. So, parinig natin ito para kalaman ng breaking news, no? Ito, no? Okay, breaking news. Saan ito kaling balita ito? Okay, sa British, sa UK. Pakinggan nga natin ito. Okay. Okay. Ay, okay. So, dalawang picture ito, no? Okay. Hamas says, okay, two hostages. It has been ordering had been killed. Okay. At least ang balita, hindi po gawa-gawa natin, na gawa nila po galing po sa okay area yan mga suki, no? Okay. Inulit-ulit ko. Pero mahinang ano. Okay. Yun po ang justification natin na galing po sa Hamas, no? Okay, nilist nila sa okay, sa news galing sa UK yata ito. Okay, mag-init naman ito mga suki mga kababayan, no? Okay, mag-init naman. Hmm. Okay, pagkatapos po ng mag-file ng South Africa ng kaso sa genocide, and then ito naman nangyari po ay dalawang hostage. Okay, hostages. Okay, namatay mga suki, no? Okay, natamaan pa ng bomba. Okay, ang pangalan po itong hostage, ang nakilala po si Yossi Sarbi and Itay Cersei. Okay, nulit ko, no? Ang pangalan ng hostage ay itong si Yossi Sarbi and Itay Cersei. Okay, so agantay pa rin tayo confirmation po sa mga independent na kaibigan natin po diyan po sa area ng Bakbakan, na yung talagang totoo itong biktima. Okay. Nirelease po ng news o taga UK mga suki, no? Okay. So yan po. Ayan, kasalukuyan po ang US military says US own ship hit in Houthi militant missile attack, no? So pakinggan natin ito. Okay, pakinggan natin, no? Ayan. Okay.
Maritime trade across the Red Sea, and that is quite huge. We're talking about billions of dollars, just considering the fact that more than 12% of the global maritime trade is just happening through Bab al Mandeb Strait. So I don't see that anytime soon Houthis are going to be deterred. Not expecting any huge dramatic retaliation. However, this harassment is going to be there, and probably USA also is going to increase the frequency of its attacks on Houthi target in Yemen. All right, so incremental escalation, incremental retaliation is what you're expecting. Rasul Sardar, thank you very much.
Okay, ulitin natin kung totoo ito. Ayan po mga suki, mga kababayan. Okay, ulitin natin from the beginning. Okay, US military says US owned ship hit in a Houthi militant missile attack mga kababayan, na. Ayan. Naku, ayaw. Okay, talagang piniprevent na tayo ay mag-release ng mga balita, no? Okay. Whew. Okay, dito tayo sa kabila ay the discontent brewing in the Biden administration, no? Okay, paglipat-lipat natin.
Arrangement for the two. She was not throwing him a life preserver the way that normally she might have. She was letting him squirm. And that benefited me, and that benefited the global audience because it allowed me more time to ask questions and to dissect his answers, which were not adding up.
You said nothing the president has ordered has been designed to widen or deepen this conflict.
And so I kept hammering him, and he was defending the indefensible. As long as American policies are affecting the global audience, they need a voice, and I'm trying to be that voice in that room.
As Israel's war on Gaza continues, John Kirby has become a mainstay of the White House press briefings.
John Kirby comes in because he knows foreign policy. He knows national security. It's not Korean's strong point. Domestic issues are her bread and butter. That's not John Kirby's strong suit. He is an admiral from the U.S. Navy. In many ways, maybe it waters down the achievement Karine Jean-Pierre has achieved in terms of being the first openly gay Black woman to hold the position of White House press secretary. But at the end of the day, we're in the middle of a potentially third world war. And she does not know foreign policy the way John Kirby knows it. And that's why the president has John Kirby coming into the briefing room. But yeah, you can feel the tension in the room sometimes. And if you look at Karine Jean-Pierre's face, she is not happy sometimes to be sharing that stage. And she makes it known. What is the saying? If you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. Maybe John Kirby has a dog.
Kirby might not have friends on his side of the podium, but he does have friends in the briefing room. Akbar Shahid Ahmed, the senior diplomatic correspondent for HuffPost, has been following his long career in Washington, D.C., among other things.
I cover a range of agencies, White House, State Department, Pentagon, and a range of dodgy diplomats.
Kirby's role has been growing since Israel's war on Gaza began, as he's become the spokesperson for Joe Biden's support of Israel. He's gotten a lot of attention for statements like this.
Being honest about the fact that there have been civilian casualties and that there likely will be more is being honest, because that's what war is. It's brutal, it's ugly, it's messy.
So, Akbar, why do you think he's becoming a more public face over the past 3 months or so?
I'd say it's because of how sensitive this issue is. And by that I mean, I think people often use sensitive to say this is too complicated to talk about. It's sensitive because this administration is choosing to, in the face of immense criticism and evidence suggesting there are problems with its policy, they are choosing to stand by the same policy. Given that, I think they need someone who can really have the heft to defend that policy and has kind of unimpeachable credentials. John Kirby served as the Pentagon and state spokesperson in the Obama administration, defending, justifying, explaining a range of very controversial policies, right? So notably, Obama's decision to support a Saudi-led coalition in Yemen that was carrying out alleged war crimes, starving millions of people. I think what he's managed to do, not just in the Obama era, but importantly in the Trump era, where he was a kind of national security talking head for the Democratic Party on MSNBC, CNN, is establish himself as this very trusted, close advisor. And I think in a Biden context, that is what matters above all, right? Being in the 5 to 10 people the president wants to talk to all the time. I think people in the administration have noted that the vast majority of those people do end up being white men. I think that's a relevant factor, given the president's stated commitments to diversity, hearing from a diverse group of people. I'd also note that Kirby's relationships with the press cannot be overstated. He is so well liked, he is so well connected. Again, a lot of National Security Press Corps has known him for 10, 15 years, and many of them see themselves in Kirby.
Kirby might be speaking in a language that Biden, as well as some of the White House press corps, understand, but he's also gotten a lot of flack online. for some of his statements. Biden's Gaza policies are pretty unpopular, especially with young voters.
60% of young voters say they oppose more funding and military aid to Israel.
And the president, as well as members of his cabinet, have been targeted by protests over the past 3 months over those policies.
Pro-Palestinian activists rallied outside the home of U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin this morning.
Protesters gathered in Northwest D.C., marching outside the home of White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
I know that you've talked to quite a lot of staffers in the administration about their own dissent of these policies. So how are these protests that they have to be seeing being received by them? And how are they feeling about their own careers and credibility in the face of them?
It's really evolved, Malika, over the course of now 4 months, because I'd say right after October 7th, when there was this deep wellspring of sympathy and there was a lot of shock. But what became very clear to people inside the administration, and I was the first to report on this, is there was a kind of culture of silence and a real sense of fear that if we are seen as questioning the policy in any way, in the way that we are actually tasked to do as national security experts, there was a feeling among staffers that that wasn't welcome in the administration, and if anything could lead to retaliation and hurt their own careers.
So how are they managing that? What does that look like? What have people told you?
Initially, there was a sense that people may start to resign en masse. So I broke the news of the first big resignation, which was Josh Ball,
a veteran State Department official in the bureau that oversees arms transfers, resigned in protest of the Biden administration's decision to boost military aid to Israel.
Before this war, Paul told CNN in December there was room for debate about policy, even when it came to Israel. But ever since October 7th,
what was different here was that there was no discussion. There was no space for that discussion. There was simply an approach of essentially the barn doors are open, and that remains the case.
But we haven't actually seen mass resignations. I think there's a number of reasons for that. There's been a lot of work by the administration to kind of win back its staffers. They know it would look bad for them to have an exodus, and there's a fear of being seen as leaving in this moment. So given the public outrage, they're almost having to choose to look away, which I think many of them feel horrible about. But they have explicitly been told, I've reported in some cases, by senior State Department officials, look, the president defines the Gaza policy. He is not interested in hearing from people, even with national security expertise in his own government. So try to use your expertise on different projects if you don't feel you can go along with the president's clear policy on Israel-Palestine.
after the break, who is driving Biden's Gaza policy?
Okay, wala na. Sandali lang po, Mas okay. Mag-init muna ako ng kape. Okay. Okay, mag-init muna ako ng kape. Sandali lang. Okay. Kailangan po kape natin sa tiyan, mga suki, mga kababayan. No? Okay. So, balik naman ako doon sa sa screen. Ayan po, mga suki, no? Okay, mag-init tayo ng kape. Kasi may initan ako ng kape rito sa loob. Okay, habang mahina ang internet, no? Okay, mahina po ang internet.
So, Akbar, one of the reasons why some career diplomats might be feeling sidelined, as you've reported, is because of a man named Brett McGurk. He's had some role in every White House administration since 2004. His position right now is White House Coordinator for the Middle East and North Africa. And the headline of your piece about him calls him the, quote, deeply controversial White House advisor running the agenda on Gaza, end quote.
I think it's critical to see McGurk as a product of post-2003, post-Iraq invasion U.S. foreign policy.
We're a global power with global priorities, but this region is interwoven with important and vital American interests.
This is a man whose entire job and his advancement in his career, his growing influence, has been in the context of that period. And he's not been someone who has questioned most of the assumptions of that period. If anything, he has doubled down on a lot of them, right? On the idea of a very intense US presence in the Middle East, in terms of McGurk's relation to the Gaza crisis, is that he has prioritized a Saudi-Israel deal throughout the Biden administration, a deal that many Palestinians worry kind of pushes their concerns to the side and makes solving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict less of a priority.
Why do you think that they would still be pushing this deal, often called the normalization deal, forward, even in the face of what we're seeing in Gaza?
There's a number of reasons. I'm sorry to laugh. It's a question that's being asked, Malika, in Congress. It's being asked by people inside the administration. I can't tell you how many people are asking that question right now in Washington. I think for McGurk personally, it's the culmination of a lot of his thinking, which is that the one lesson he's taken from the post-2003 war and period is that he doesn't really support huge incursions of US troops and US influence. But the flip side of that is I want US-friendly governments to be really dominant, regardless of what their populations might think, right? And regardless of what implications that might have. So for him, he feels he can kind of create some version of stability if Saudi and Israel become friendly.
Biden ran on separating himself from Trump, but kept an administration official on who's been on in the Trump era, the Obama era, the Bush era. What does that tell us about how these things actually work?
I think it tells us, I won't put my own words, but one official said to me, quote, he's almost my example of why it's great to be a white guy, right?
Okay, sigit ko muna ito mga kababayan na itong si Secretary, UN Secretary po ng United Nations Secretary General po Antonio, tama ba ko? Antonio Guterres mga suki, no? Ulitin ko, Antonio Guterres. Okay, kalalabas lang, no? Okay, pakinggan natin, no? Sabi niya rito, ayan, a UN chief press briefing on Middle East, United Nations. Okay, pakinggan natin, no? US aid. Okay. Ano ito? Ito na. Okay, pakinggan na lang natin, no? Pero mahina po ang net. Anong problema po ng net natin, no? Okay.
Sir, good afternoon. More than 100 days have passed since the horrific 7 October attacks by Hamas that claimed the lives of more than 1,000 Israelis and others and resulted in the brutal seizing of hostages. Every day, I think of the anguish of the families I met. I once again demand the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. In the interim, they must be treated humanely and allowed to receive visits and assistance from the International Committee of the Red Cross. The accounts of sexual violence committed by Hamas and others on October 7th must be rigorously investigated and prosecuted. Nothing can justify the deliberate killing, injuring, and kidnapping of civilians or the launching of rockets towards civilian targets. At the same time, the onslaught on Gaza by Israeli forces over these 100 days has unleashed wholesale destruction and levels of civilian killings at a rate that is unprecedented during my years as Secretary General. Are women and children. Nothing can justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people.
The humanitarian situation in Gaza is beyond words. Nowhere and no one is safe. Traumatized people are being pushed into increasingly limited areas in the south that are becoming intolerably and dangerously congested. While there have been some steps to increase the flow of humanitarian assistance into Gaza, life-saving relief is not getting to people who have endured months of relentless assault at anywhere near the scale needed. The long shadow of starvation is stalking the people of Gaza, along with disease, malnutrition, and other health threats. And I'm deeply troubled by the clear violation of international humanitarian law that we are witnessing. Last week, Under Secretary General Sigrid Kaag began her work as Senior Humanitarian and Reconstruction Coordinator for Gaza, in line with Security Council Resolution 2720. I ask all states and parties to the conflict for their full cooperation, as she also works with members of the Security Council and regional actors to deliver on the mandate set in the resolution. An effective aid operation in Gaza or anywhere else requires certain basics. It requires security. It requires an environment where staff can work in safety. It requires the necessary logistics and the resumption of commercial activity. The obstacles to aid are clear, and they have been identified not only by the UN, but by officials from around the globe who have seen the situation for themselves. First, the United Nations and all partners cannot effectively deliver humanitarian aid while Gaza is under such heavy, widespread, and unrelenting bombardment. This endangers the lives of those who receive aid and those who deliver it. The vast majority of all Palestinian staff in Gaza have been forced to flee their homes. Since October 7th, 152 UN staff members have been killed in Gaza, the largest single loss of life in the history of our organization. A heart-wrenching figure and a source of deep sorrow. Still, aid workers, under enormous pressure and with no safety guarantees, are doing their best to deliver inside Gaza. We continue to call for rapid, safe, unhindered, expanded, and sustained humanitarian access into and across Gaza. Second, the aid operation faces significant hurdles at the Gaza border. Vital materials, including life-saving medical equipment and parts which are critical for the repair of water facilities and infrastructure, have been rejected with little or no explanation, disrupting the flow of critical supplies and the resumption of basic services. And when one item is denied, the time-consuming approval process starts again from scratch for the entire cargo. Third, the aid operation faces major impediments to distribution within Gaza. This includes repeated denials of access to the north, where hundreds of thousands of people remain. Since the start of the year, just 7 of 29 missions to deliver aid to the north have been able to proceed. Large stretches of agreed routes cannot be used due to heavy fighting and debris, with unexploded ordnance also threatening convoys. Humanitarian notification systems to maximize the safety of aid operations are not being respected. In addition, frequent telecommunications blackouts means humanitarian workers cannot seek out the safest roads, coordinate aid distribution, or track the movements of displaced people who need assistance. We are seeking to ramp up the response, but we need basic conditions in place. The parties must respect international humanitarian law, respect and protect civilians, and ensure their essential needs are met. And there must be an immediate and massive increase in the commercial supply of essential goods. The UN and humanitarian partners cannot alone provide basic necessities that should also be available in markets to the entire population. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, meanwhile, the cauldron of tensions in the occupied West Bank is boiling over with heightened violence, compounding an already dire fiscal crisis for the Palestinian Authority. Tensions are also sky high in the Red Sea and beyond, and may soon be impossible to contain. I have serious concerns about daily exchanges of fire across the blue line. These risks triggering a broader escalation between Israel and Lebanon and profoundly affecting regional stability. Tens of thousands of people in northern Israel and southern Lebanon have been displaced by the fighting, and humanitarian access in Lebanon continues to be constrained. I am profoundly worried by what is unfolding. It is my duty to convey this simple and direct message to all sides. Stop playing with fire across the blue line, de-escalate, and bring hostilities to an end in accordance with Security Council Resolution 1701. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I have outlined concerns about a wide range of issues. The unprecedented level of civilian casualties and catastrophic humanitarian conditions in Gaza, the fate of the hostages, the tensions that are spilling across the region. There is one solution to help address all these issues. We need an immediate humanitarian ceasefire to ensure sufficient aid gets to where it's needed, to facilitate the release of the hostages, to tamp down the flames of wider war, because the longer the conflict in Gaza continues, the greater the risk of escalation and miscalculation. We cannot see in Lebanon what we are seeing in Gaza, and we cannot allow what has been happening in Gaza to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Female voice, male voice, lolly voice, monster voice.
Okay, ang oras natin ay 55 minutos na po, pasado alas 7 sa maganda, no? So, continue natin yung kabila kasi bigla lang pumasok yung isa na yun. Kaya nga inuna ko mga kababayan, mga suki, no? Diskontento na po ang kano okay, sa administration po ni Joe Biden.
International security establishments. This idea of continued failure and not being kind of pressured or questioned as a result of that, right? Being able to move up and get bigger and bigger jobs, maybe because of likability, maybe because, apples pick apples. The president made repeated commitments to bringing in a more diverse national security staff, right? They love to talk about being the most diverse administration in history. But what this moment since October 7th has made people feel is an exacerbation of what they've been feeling for some months now. I had one person say to me, quote, the inner circle on these issues is not at all diverse. Does that completely explain the monstrous disregard for innocent Palestinian lives? No, but it's hard to think these things are entirely disconnected.
What is the mood like? Are there any moments from interviews that have stuck with you?
I'd say the mood is, it's one of not just frustration, but I'd say deep heartache among a lot of national security officials, almost shock.
Mm.
One instance that came up recently in my reporting in December was there's still hundreds of American citizens trapped in Gaza and their close relatives amid growing mass starvation, bombardment, the horrible conditions we know about. And State Department officials have actually been told they can't reveal to American citizens that Israel has blocked their relatives from exit lists.
Wow.
And they've even been told to tell American citizens, keep your family members where they are. It may be safer for them to stay there instead of trying to leave.
No.
Which is such an admission of, limited U.S. influence, but also to a lot of people, a lack of humanity.
I just want to break this down, make sure I'm getting it. State Department staffers are being told by administration that when trying to get Americans who are stuck in Gaza out, that it actually would be safer to stay put because that border crossing is not safe. There's an admission that it's not safe, but not an admission that these are American citizens that we're ready to do anything for.
I'm ready to.
Is that right?
Ready to and legally bound to. Importantly, right? That is the law. It is the law that the US government has to do everything it can to help citizens out in situations like this, which is why, Malika, there are now multiple lawsuits by family members of Americans and Americans whose relatives are there, saying the government is derelict in its duty.
So, Akbar, Biden's policy towards Israel has been described as a bear hug, basically keeping Benjamin Netanyahu close to influence his policy in Gaza. History has shown that that is not the only way forward. U.S. President George H.W. Bush conditioned aid to Israel over settlement construction. His predecessor, Ronald Reagan, did the same during Israel's war with Lebanon. Why do you think, based on your reporting, that Biden has gone down the course that he's chosen?
I think it's important to remember that Biden, even historically and traditionally before becoming president, was more hawkish on Israel than your average Democrat or your average American politician.
Here's Biden speaking on the floor of the Senate back in 1986.
I think it's about time we stop, those of us who support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we made.
I think post October 7th, given the intense emotional reactions that seem to be driving the president and some of his staffers, and then given the really shocking and unprecedented situation in Gaza, just tensions are so high that I think even within the administration, people don't want to pick fights or don't know how to even have these conversations about changing the policy because everyone's backs are up and it's clear the president doesn't want to budge.
And that's The Take. Special thanks to Chris Sheridan. This episode was produced by Nagin Oliai with Miranda Lynn, Zaina Bazan, Sonia Bagat, Darinisa Campana, David Enders, Saria Khalili, Chloe K. Lee, Ashish Malhotra, Khalid Sultan, Amy Walters, and me, Malika Bilal. Alex Roldan is our sound designer. Alexandra Locke is The Take's executive producer, and Nate Alvarez is Al Jazeera's head of audio. We'll be back.
Ayan. Wala na po mga suki na. Wala na. Okay, so mag-break muna tayo and then babalikan natin ang ibang balita. Hindi ata ako naka-intro noon. Naka-intro ba ako? Wala ata, no? Okay, sandali lang. Ito po. Okay, anong oras na? Tingnan natin yung check-in time natin. Meron ako binabasa, no? Alas, okay, 5 minutos po pasado na po alas 8, no? Okay, kunti na lang ang oras natin. And then, punta tayo sa hanapbuhay, no? Ang peso raw, Philippine Stock Exchange Index up at the start of the week. Ulitin ko, no? Okay, peso, Philippine peso, no? Philippine Stock Exchange Index up at the start of work. Ayan po. Salamat. Okay, so tirahin natin ang balita ito, no? Okay. Pag-aabot ng isang oras, tama na po ang balita. Ayan, tama na po ang public service. Maraming kwarta, oh. Ayan. Kailan kaya ako makakwarta ng ganung karami? Oh. Okay, the peso and the stock market both started the week on a positive note with a sentiment said to have been boosted by the latest data release and the rate cut expectation. Ayan. Meron rate cut na. The currency strengthened by 14 centavos to 55.77 against greenback. Yung isang greenback, no? Isang dolyares. While the benchmark of Philippine Stock Exchange Index, PSEI, advanced by 37.27 point or equivalent 0.56% to end the day at a 6,680 okay, 0.45 level. Mataas mga suki na. Malapit na tayo sa 67 level. Ayan po mga suki, no? Okay. So, tuwang-tuwa naman po ang mga may pera sa stock exchange, no? Ayan. Okay, the broader or shares likewise rose by 0.49% or 17.16 point. Okay, for a 3,000 523.77 level finish. Ang di peso open trading aray 55.85 to 1 greenback, $1, no? And the range from 55.77 to 55.98 volume reach to 1.305 billion pesos, down from the 1.695 billion pesos recorded in the previous session, no? Okay, ibig sabihin nung nakaraan na linggo. So yan po ang ibig sabihin, na. Okay, Michael Ricaport, Chief Economist at the Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation. Ulitin natin, no? At the Rizal, magalit si Yurchenko. At the Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation said, bakit mo sabi niya hindi kinumpleto ang bangko ko? Okay. Hindi mo pinatama ang pag-pronounce mo ng Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation said the peso gain on continued growth in overseas Filipino worker remittances, and after the local stock market continued to gain for the third straight day, gaining for most days since the start of 2024. So, okay, tiba-tiba naman ng maraming kwarta. Okay, mag-invest po dyan sa, mag-pouring ng kanilang pondo dyan po sa Philippine Stock and Exchange Index, no? Tiba-tiba naman. Ayan. Hindi ako magkatiba dahil maliit lang akin mga suki, no? Pero kumita man. Kahit hindi tayo makatiba katulad sa ibang mga suki, no? Okay, wala akong multi-million pesos, para ilagak ko rito mga suki, no? Okay, magparami pa lang tayo. Okay, sana dumami pa rin. Ayan. Pirsta, Financial Incorporated Research Associate, Claire RBR said the Philippine Stock Exchange Index managed to extend its gain due to the speculation. Due to expectation, no? It's gain due to expectation that the country would employ non-monetary policy measure to control inflation, no? Okay, if this pushes through RBR, noted, investor can anticipate further rate cuts ahead, boosting market sentiment. Ayan, Juan Paulo Colette, Managing Director at China Banking Capital Corporation, said the bourse sustained its momentum at the back of a softer than expected U.S. December producer price data, which increased hope that the Federal Reserve will start cutting policy rate in March. So, January, February, March, mga suki, no? U.S. Central Bank. Ayan. Okay, so ilang paragraph na? Apat pa. Former Finance Secretary Benjamin Diokno has said that the domestic policy rate could be reduced by as much as 100 basis point BPS this year, exceeding the expected 75 BPS rate cut by the Central Bank of America, Fed. Okay, Regina Capital Development Corporation Managing Director Luis Limlingan, meanwhile said local share continued to be brought up this month as PAN continued to make bets the issues that could outperform for 2024, no? Okay, market participation improved, resulting in a net market value turnover of a point of 4.95. Sorry po, no? Mali ang 95, hindi. Ulitin ko. Okay, market value turnover of 4.94 billion pesos. All sector indices are close in a green territory. Green territory. Ibig sabihin po green ay tubo mga suki mga kababayan na. Okay, lahat po ng sector indices close to green territory led by mining and oil with a 1.35% gain. Okay, advance outnumber decliner. Ito po ang resulta, no? Marami po. 107 ang tumubo. Ang lugi po ay 78. Lahat na ito ng sector, no? While 52 were unchanged, mga kababayan. Ibig sabihin, ang 52 itong stock bars natin ay hindi po gumalaw, no? Okay, sa Philippine Stock Exchange Index. Okay, report ito mga kababayan, no? Ayan. So, hindi po tumubo ang 52, no? Pero ang 107, okay, tumubo. Ang lugi po ay 78 mga suki, no? So, majority ay tumubo. Okay, yan po kasaysayan ng stock market natin mga kababayan. Okay, sa umaga ito mga kababayan. Bakit ang converge? Ayan, converge po mga suki, no? Okay, itong kay Dennis Uy. Bilyonary po ng Davao. Okay, Davao. Converge, a lot 5 billion for data center. CAPEX ito mga suki, no? Ibig sabihin magdagdag ng pondo. Okay, para data center po ng Converge. Okay. So, papasok naman dyan po ang mga mag-invest, no? Okay, ang inyong abang lingkod, meron po sa CAPEX mga suki. Kahit kunti lang, no? Meron ata ako sa CAPEX. Sa CAPEX? Okay, sa Converge mga suki. Naalala, CAPEX, capital expenditure mga suki, no? Term po ng corporation. Okay, capital expenditure. Converge. Sinabi ko meron ako sa Converge ay okay, barya-barya lang mga suki, no? Paano kaya lalaki yan? Ayan. Okay, basahin po natin ang detalye ng balita. Okay, Manila, Philippines. Broadband provider Converge ICT Solution Incorporated will allocate up to 5 billion for the delivery of a data center in the next 3 years to house the planned digital platform. Okay, magkuhan mo kayo yan? Okay, tingnan natin mamaya sa stock kung mag-release sila ng magkano bentahan po sa stock ng Converge. The Converge is starting to decrease its capital expenditure, ito ng CAPEX, with its infrastructure, network, or setup. The company is spending up to 5 billion in the next 3 years to develop new data center, no? Okay, papasok ng Converge po sa data center negosyo mga suki, no? Okay, so kailangan na po ang mga, okay, tulad natin online, meron tayong mga data po, protected data, para po hindi ma-hack, no? Okay, Converge CEO and co-founder, billionaire Dennis Anthony Uy, said his company would focus its spending on a product development and improvement from 2024 onward. Uy said, okay, this capital channel would require data center where their application and information would be stored. Okay, no? Yung apps at saka yung information ay ilalagay po sa data center, no? Okay, yung mga kliyente po ng Converge. Oy believes that the demand for innovative services will only go up from here on as the world embraces a new normal where almost everything can be done online. Online na kasi kayo mga kababayan. Kahit mga maliit na negosyo, okay, online na. Kasi sabi po ni Chinkitan na kung hindi ka mag-online sa negosyo, ay wala na, lugi ka na mga suki, no? Okay, kasi bihira na po punta po ang tao sa mga physical store. Puro na lang smartphone o kaya computer pag-order po ng kanilang mga ino-order. Tama naman. Okay. Hindi na magpunta po sa mga department store. Okay, ang ginagawa na lang na ay mag-order na lang online, no? Mag-browse. Okay, mag-type ng mag-Google. O kaya kung anong mga Lazada, hanapin na lang po ang kailangan sa bahay, no? O kaya sa katawan natin. Okay, kuha na po mga suki, no? Okay. So yan. Dahil po sa advance ng technology. Okay, the digital highway is already built from business to consumer and a business to business. What we need next, okay, are platform storage and computing on the top of the highway, he said. So ano lang ginagawa mo pag ikaw ay may negosyo? Okay, meron kang application po sa mga storage. At saka meron kang magandang computer, server. Ibig sabihin, no? I-put up mo sa secluded area. Okay, para protektado naman ang mga data of the preservation mo, no? Okay, ganun po. Okay, hindi po pwede pakialaman ng nino. Okay, unless lang yung authorize. Okay, maghawak po ng mga data mga suki, no? Okay, kailangan stop mo ang pagkatiwalaan mo. Katulad na namin ay dito po sa negosyo namin, 6 na kami pwede po makialam po sa trabaho namin, no? Okay, 6 lang kami. Okay, across the telco industry, operators are putting up data center to serve the growing requirements from tech giant like Amazon, Google, and Meta, which are always in search of new spaces where their database can be kept. Okay, pag meron ka dito sa sinasabi ito, mamili ka Amazon, Google, and Meta kay Mark Zuckerberg, ay pwede mo na hanap dito sa mga giant tech ito mga kababayan, no? Okay, new spaces where their database can be kept. Okay, in 2023, Converge announced that it would invest at least 20 million greenback or US or dolyares ng US, okay, or about 1 billion pesos for each of the data center it will build in Cebu, Pampanga, and Quezon City. So tatlong area, no? So kung 1 billion, kailangan po si Dennis Uy, okay, maghanap ng pondo ng 3 billion, no? So saan siya maghanap ng pondo? Okay, doon sa, kasi public listed company na itong ang Converge, doon sa Philippine Stock Exchange Index, no? Ayan, doon siya maghanap. Wala siyang problema eh. Okay, pwede siya mag-add, mag-put, okay, public listing po mga company. Kasi public listed company naman itong no? So sulat lang. Okay, kailangan ko 3 billion pesos. Okay, saan sa makasubscribe po yung mga bumibili. O kaya saan po underwriter. Okay, ang alam ko ang underwriter po ng Converge ay itong China bang mga suki, no? Ayan. So pwede ka pumunta dyan and then kung maraming ka pera ay bili ka ng stock mga suki, no? Lalo na po yung mga overseas. Okay? OFWs. Huwag isayang po ang pera. Hanap po ng kung saan po pwede maglakak ng pondo mga suki, no? Ayan. So yan po ay advice natin po para hindi masayang po ang pinaghirapan sa ibang bansa, no? Pag uwi ay wala na. Wala rin naipon mga kababayan, no? Ayan. So karon lang ang technique. Okay, Converge need as much space for data storage as it can, acquired as it is developing its own suite of a digital platform for consumer and enterprises. No? Okay, for consumer, the internet service provider hosts a streaming channel, okay, called Blast TV, similar to Netflix. That it offer for free for all of its subscriber who want to hope on a gaming business, not seeing an opportunity in the growing sense of competitive play. For enterprises, Converge will build a contact center powered by artificial intelligence. Okay, A1, the first of its kind, the Philippines. Okay, the facility is scheduled to be completed by second half of the year. Okay, sa kauna-unahan po sa Pilipinas ay si Dennis Soy po mag-implement po ng artificial intelligence mga suki, na? Ayan. So mga next year ay meron na po ito mga suki, pwede ka na apply, magbili, mag-subscribe. Okay, pero naman po mga suki, na? Ayan. Okay, Converge trim it capex, yung capital expenditure to a range of 12 billion pesos to 15 billion in 2023, but will elevate it to band of 15 billion to 17 billion this year to pay for the right to use the next subsea cable. Okay, subsea. Pinadaan po sa dagat, no? Subsea cable. Okay. The company plan to source the budget from its revenue flow, okay, avoiding the debt market for now due to still elevated interest rate, mga suki, na. So, inaantay. Okay, ang pronouncement po ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas kung mag-cut na ba sila ng interest rate. Okay, wala na akong oras, mga suki. Sobra-sobra na. Okay. Paalam tayo, no? Ayan. Akala ng negosyante, hindi ko maintindihan mga ganyan-ganyan, mga suki, no? Okay. Naintindihan ko po yung mga sinasabi po rito ng mga balita ito, no? Ayan. Pag meron kang mga milyon ngayon, hatiin mo. Okay, punta ka sa negosyo ng Converse. Bibili ka ng maghanap ka ng source kung paano ka makabili ng stock, no? Pag meron kang mga milyon, meron kang 500,000, ilagay mo doon po. After how many kung pagkita ay kumita na, okay, mag-tender ka. Pag meron ka mga milyon, kahit naman di milyon, meron ka mga 200,000, 300,000, pwede naman. Magkano ba ang limitation ng Converge? 300,000? Okay, pag mag-invest ka sa kanila, meron kasi cap yan. Ayan. Tapos na ba ito?
Ayan. Female voice, male voice, lolly voice.
Okay. Ayan po mga so, ako ay mag-passive income muna, no? Okay, kailangan na meron mga expansion sa tindahan muna mga suki, no? Okay. Both online at saka physical mga suki, no? Dapat ay ganun. Tapos doon ay mag-stash ka na lang. Okay, cut ka mga 20%. Okay, ipasok mo sa saving and then investment mga suki, no? Ganun sana. Okay. Passive income ang kailangan natin. Maraming income pumapasok po ng sa negosyo. Dapat po ganun ang style. Tapos unti-unti ka mag-invest po sa mga kwan, no? Okay, halimbawa mag-divested ka ngayon after mga 3 months. Okay, for 3 months to 6 months, saka ka babawi mga suki, no? Pa-stable mo muna ang passive income mo. Ayan. So, ayan. Okay. Tapos na ba ito?
Monster voice, female voice, male voice, lolly voice.
Okay, mga suki, mga kababayan, na. Ayan.
Awesome! 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 Awesome!
Okay, kaya mga Hudyo kung kumita $10 a day, ang $5 po ay in-expense nila, no? Ginastos nila. Okay, ang $1 ilagay nila sa charity. Ang $3 Okay, sigurado yan sa mga investment. $10 a day, no? Kaya mayaman sila. Ugali nila po yung mga Hudyo ba, yung mga taong itong mga taga-Israel. Pag kumita ng $10, ang $5 separate nila, and then ang $1 sa charity, and then ang $3 po ay ilagay nila kung saan-saan. Okay, hindi po marami, no? Ganun lang ang technique nila. Ang $2 po ay sa pagkain nila ata. Okay, sa personal pangailangan nila. So yan po ang technique po, kaya mayaman sa daigdig po itong mga tao, itong mga suki, no? Dahil may rules sila. May kaugalian po dapat po gawin natin. Kung hindi lang itong rule nila, itong rule ng mga angkam, okay, agaw ng kayaman, maganda ang ano nila, no? Okay, maganda yung strategy. Ang problema, okay, mangagaw po ng kayamanan ng iba, no? Okay, itong mga ugali nila. Dahil po sa prinsipyo ng political concept nila ng Zionism, no? Meron extreme Zionism, meron naman yung moderate lang, meron naman ay mga mababait po ng mga tao galing din sa kanila, no? So ang nilabanan po ng mga itong katulad nila Putin, katulad na itong mga nila Erdogan, yung extreme, kasi delikado po itong extreme Zionist mga kababayan. Itong nilabanan nila. Okay. Agawan po ng kasi itong mga extreme Zionism ay mag-dominate po sa mundo. Kaya delikado mga suki, no? Mag-dominate sa mundo. Okay? Brain galing Israel, sa US, itong mga American Zionists, and then itong mga European Zionists, yan po mag-dominate sa mundo, no? Okay. Para gibain, para makontrol nila po ang daigdig mga suki, no? Okay, so nabibisto na ngayon, no? Kaya ngayon itong former ng mga tagasunod po ni Nelson Mandela, ng mahigit almost 30 years po kinulong na, 21 about 30 years. Kinulong po si Nelson Mandela. Ito po ang kalaban nila, no? Okay, itong tinatawag na mga anti-apartheid. Laban po sa mga Zionist sa buong daigdig mga suki, no? Okay, kasama na po ang itong Islam kumakalaban po sa kanila mga kababayan, no? Kasi extreme na, delikado na. Okay? Yan po mga suki ang kinatakutan ngayon, no? Doon po, base po ni-explain po ni Recep Tayyip Erdogan, naglakas loob po. Okay, katulad ng programa, halo-halo special opinion, balita at iba pa. Okay, mag-expose ng mga ganito mga suki, no? Kasi extreme na. Alam namang extreme. Okay, extremist. Delikado na po sa lipunan mga kababayan, no? Okay, sa kagahaman nila, okay, pag-control po ng daigdig. Kaya nga, dapat ito, tama po, ginawa ng South Africa, kinasuhan po itong mga tao ito, katulad ni Benjamin Netanyahu, at saka si Yoav Galan. Kasi danger na po mga suki, no? Danger na po sa atin. Okay. Hindi na po tama, hindi na tugma. Sa katagalan natin mag-observe dito, mag-study po ng geopolitics, iba na. Napaka-dangerous na po ang